Become a part of one of the fastest growing Magic the Gathering communities today, Heroes and Legends. Check out the description below to see 2 ways to support the channel. The first is Patreon, where you can get an exclusive Heroes and Legends Classic Art token. See our Patreon page for full details. Or you can explore our Amazon affiliate store, which collects and organizes some of the best MTG deals on Amazon. If you make any purchases from any Amazon sellers through these links, a small percentage will come back to support the channel. Thank you to everyone that makes this channel and its content possible. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. And today we have some big Magic the Gathering previews to talk about. Starting this evening, Wizards started to preview a number of the Amonket Masterpieces, or Invocations, which is their Amonkhet title, and they were given to a number of the Pro Tour teams from the previous Pro Tour, as well as some streamers. So they've been coming out kind of slowly throughout the evening. I've compiled everything we have up until this point, and just wanted to get the information out to you all so you're aware of them. Also, you see a couple of them on the screen right now. One of the maybe more controversial topics when it comes to these cards has been the card frame and the overall aesthetics of the card. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. I know a lot of you just want to see what the cards are, so we're going to jump into that. One thing I will say before we get started, though, for any new players that aren't aware of what these cards are, they're basically very, very rare foil premium cards that you will get occasionally in packs of Amonkhet if you're lucky. Basically, they're about 1 in every 144 packs, roughly, is the odds. If you open one in a sealed event or draft event, you can play with the card in those formats. However, the card is only going to be legal in the constructed formats that it's already legal in. So if I open the Consecrated Sphinx that you see there on your left, I can't play that in Standard, but I could play it in Modern, for example. Having that out of the way, let's get into the cards, and you'll see a couple things here. I'll show you a close-up of the card, and then also the value of the current cheapest foil version of the card. And I just put that there as a reference, just so you get an idea, at least roughly, of what to expect value-wise for some of these cards. Okay, the first card is Aven Mind Sensor. Now, like I said, I'll talk about my feelings on the art at the end of the video, but all of that aside, if you take away the card border and everything, the art itself actually looks amazing with the bolus horns there. Incredible, incredible card. Now, if you wanted to pick up a foil version of this card, you only got one choice. There's only one show in town, and that was, of course, Future Sight. Future Sight foil is going to run you about $37.36 currently, and it's the only place you can get this card, actually. It was never reprinted. So it's interesting to see it here. I will say this, though. If you're thinking that having a masterpiece printing of it is going to bring down the value of the existing versions of the card, unfortunately, that's not going to be the case, because these are just so limited that they're not really going to have that much of an impact financially. These are really for high-end collectors, people that want to trick out their decks, maybe their cubes, that type of thing. This card does see play, though, in Modern. Definitely shows up in Collected Company decks currently. That's probably the deck that plays this the most right now. Alright, the next card's a little obscure. Actually, so obscure I couldn't find a decent-looking piece of art for it to put in the background. But it's Loyal Retainers. This was originally printed in Portal 3 Kingdoms. It did get a one and only reprint in foil, actually, in Commander's Arsenal. So if you want that foil version, it's going to run you about $29.99. This isn't a card that currently is seeing a whole lot of competitive play, but it is a very, very good Commander card. Also shows up in some cubes. I have another actually rather popular Modern card right now with Worship. This is being run in Bant Eldrazi decks, and if you want a foil, currently the cheapest one's $39.99. Next we have Wrath of God. Now, due to the fact that we have the From the Vault version, which is pretty inexpensive, you can get a foil Wrath for about $6.60 currently. Classic control card used in a lot of different formats, of course. But what I wanted to point out about this particular card is the art. The art is beautiful. You see it in the background here of the video too. Awesome, awesome art on this card. And it's very true of many of these cards. Next we have Consecrated Sphinx, another card that's never been reprinted. So if you want a foil, you're going back to the original in Meriden Besieged, and that's going to run you about $48.38. This card's not seeing a ton of play currently in constructed formats, a little bit in Modern and sometimes in mill decks, but it's pretty fringe at this point. It is an awesome cube card, though, for sure. Next, we have another blue card with Counterbalance, another card also that has not been reprinted. This card is from Cold Snap, and due to the fact that it sees extensive play right now in Legacy thanks to the Miracles deck, it's going to run you about $92.20 for that Cold Snap foil, which is very, very expensive. Again, I love the job they did with the art here. It looks incredible. Here's another Miracles card, actually, Counterspell. Sees a lot of play in Legacy Miracles, also a big Pauper card. And if you were looking for a foil of this card, you can still get them pretty cheap thanks to Eternal Masters. You pick up a copy for $5.51. Next, we have Cryptic Command. Now, Cryptic Command, huge Modern Control card. Shows up in a lot of different types of control decks. Right now, cheapest foil, we're running at $34.69. Here's one of the big ones now, Force of Will. We remember about a year ago or so, Eternal Masters came out and they reprinted Force of Will with that beautiful Therese Nielsen art like you see there in the background. And that gave us at least a secondary option for a foil. And really, there's only two places to go for a foil. You either have to go for the promo version of the card, which is very rare, because keep in mind, when this was printed originally in Alliances, they didn't have foils. Or you go with the Eternal Masters Therese Nielsen foil art. The promo art is going to run you about $329.99. The Therese Nielsen copy is going to run you about $400. So, the good news is, if you're in the market for a foil Force of Will, for whatever reason, this is going to be a much cheaper option than the two that are already out there. And I'll talk more about the card frame at the end of the video. Regardless of what you think of the card frame, I do think the art is quite striking. Maybe not as beautiful as the Therese Nielsen art, but I think it's still very good. Pact of Negation, another great Modern card, seeing a lot of play right now in Ad Nauseam. Again, cheapest foil out there is still a little expensive at $50.10. All right, another one of the classic cards with Dark Ritual. Now, Dark Ritual has had a number of printings, and it's a card that sees still a fair amount of play in Legacy and Vintage. It's great in Storm decks, for example, in Legacy. But believe it or not, among all the different printings it's had over the years, it was only printed one time in paper in foil. That was Mercadian Masks. If you want to pick up one of those foil Dark Rituals from that set, it's going to run you about $45.73. So now players that are looking for a Dark Ritual do have another option with this particular masterpiece. Next, we have a card that has never been printed in foil, believe it or not, and it's Mind Twist. Now, this was from the original Magic set. Of course, it was an Alpha, Beta, Unlimited. It was in Revised and 4th edition as well. Just never had a chance to get a foil version of it, at least in paper. So because of that, this will probably hold a little bit of value, being it's the only show in town for a foil. And again, I do think they did a great job with the art there as well. Now, it doesn't see a whole lot of play currently in competitive formats, a little bit in Vintage, but it is a fantastic cube card. Next, we have Chain Lightning, another card that you can pick up the foil relatively cheap thanks to Eternal Masters. You can get these for about $5.88 currently, but here's another version of the card, and again, I think they did a fantastic job with the piece of art on there. Maelstrom Pulse. This is one of the multicolor cards, and it looks like a battle between the gods maybe is going on that card. $23.48 right now is the cheapest version in foil that you can get, another very popular Modern card. And then we have Vindicate. Same thing. You see the gods in action on this particular piece of art. And Vindicate, okay, maybe not a super expensive card to pick up. Again, thanks to Eternal Masters, you can get a foil for about $10.80. But again, a very versatile control card for sure. Now, having said that, that's what we have for today. Now, Wizards has said over the course of this evening and tomorrow morning, they are going to show us any of the Masterpiece cards that are not cards that are also duplicated in Amonkhet. My theory is we're going to probably see the Five Gods get a Masterpiece version. So we won't see those spoiled tomorrow, but we will see all the other cards that are actually reprints. So tomorrow morning, I will have another video. I'll show you the rest of these masterpieces. Now, as promised, I'll let you know my thoughts on this card design. When I first saw the first one spoiled a few hours back, I had to do a double take. I didn't know what I was looking at. It took me a good 30 seconds to figure out that the name of the card was actually printed in there at the top within the symbols. And that is one of the complaints a lot of people have. Basically, a lot of folks that are seeing these cards are saying a few things. They're saying that they look kind of ugly or off-putting. They're saying that the font is difficult to read and pick out, especially from far away. They're saying that the colors of the card can be hard to notice due to the fact that you don't have a solid block of the color anywhere. You just have those stripes kind of on the side. And the gold cards are even worse because they're just actually gold. You don't have black and white on Vindicate, for example. So that's a little bit strange too, I think, for some players to pick out. For me, my biggest complaint about it is the fact that the card frame is just too thick and it takes away from this beautiful artwork that they've commissioned for these cards. I mean, the artwork looks amazing, but it feels collapsed in. It feels crowded in by everything that's going on around it. And for me, one of my favorite parts of the game is the art, and it really kind of pains me to see that a little bit. I love full art cards, for example. I think those are beautiful. This is kind of the opposite. It feels like the art's being overtaken by the card frame, and I think that's kind of a problem, at least for me. I've been looking at these cards for a number of hours now, and I'll be honest with you, the font doesn't bother me anymore. I got used to it. I can pick up the font very easily now. It took a few minutes, but I got there. The color coding and all that, I'm okay with. I can totally get past that. For me, it's just the fact that the art is just really condensed in these cards. That's what's troublesome for me. Now, I will say a couple things. First off, Trick Jarrett on his Twitter account, he posted a video of one of the cards, Cryptic Command. And in the video, the card looks a lot better than it does in these flat pictures, because the foiling process, which you can't really see here, is actually different in different parts of the card. So it's really strong, it looks like, on the art. Not so strong where the rules text is included at the bottom, but also the foiling around the edges, like the gold foiling, like really stands out, like super sharp. So check that out. I think these are going to look a lot better in person. And the second thing I will say is I'm glad Wizards took the risk. Like, maybe a lot of players might not enjoy this card frame and they may have a lot of critique around it. But I'll tell you this, I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they tried it. I want them to try new things. I want them to experiment. Sometimes they're going to fail, and that's okay, because they tried something that was unique. They tried something different. They tried something that was super themed, and I don't want them to stop doing that. Like, keep doing that. Keep trying. And with the next set, don't be afraid to take that risk again. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. But you know what? I'm glad they tried and didn't just give us the same old thing every time. For that, I applaud them. So actually, I'm happy that it exists. Like I said, I have some issues with it as far as my critique goes. But at the same time, I'm happy it's there. And I'm happy they're trying to do it. Having said that, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And until tomorrow, we're going to see some more of these. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.